Hey, this is Mariela from the Functional Company. All right, so today I want to talk about why I think it's important to learn about natural health, about nutrition, and we should take some interest in improving our overall diet and learning how the body works. So what I see is that, we each have a body, right? And bodies, they work with certain nutrients and they break down if you put certain things in the body that shouldn't be there. For example, too much sugar, drugs, etc., right? Like there are certain things that definitely make the body break down. And then of course, there's the immune system. There's a lot of stuff to learn in terms of how the body works. And no matter who you are, I have not seen a body that's in a constant, perfect state of health. It's like we're constantly running into different things, right? We're running into chemicals, viruses, bacterias, etc. So what we want to do is, if we have the proper nutrition, if we really give the body the proper nutrients that it needs, then our body will be more resilient and resistant against all of these things that are coming into it. So if we come in contact with the chemical, but our body is in a very good state, then it can detox that chemical relatively well. If it's a huge amount, we might need to support it with a supplement, a homeopathic, etc., to really support the pathways of elimination and help it detox, right? But basically, there's just things that the body is going to deal with. I've never seen somebody in a constant state of perfect health. But what happens is that the overwhelming majority of us did not learn, either at home or in school, and I'll include myself in this, we did not learn how the body worked properly. Like, we didn't fully understand this, and we didn't fully learn how to really remedy most of the things that the body deals with through natural means, which is definitely possible, but we just didn't learn that. What we have been pumped with, or at least I have, and I know a lot of people have, is basically like the Western model, which is like, take this pill to take your symptom away. Yes, it has a side effect of drowsiness, sleepiness, hot flashes, aches and pains and weakness, fatigue, and all this stuff, but this thing is going to go away. This one symptom that you care about, your sore throat or your headache, is going to go away with this pill. So that's been the general approach, and the Western medical doctor has been deemed in our society as the authority in health, with which, look, I do think that the Western doctor has his and her place in society. There's definitely a place that we really need them to help us in terms of our health. But what's very interesting to me is that doctors were not taught nutrition in medical school. What is that about? Like, why was there no relationship between food and the body, and how to really figure out the relationship between nutrients and health? Why is it more just a diagnosis and a drug thing? To me, it's a little bit kind of fishy there, in terms of only having a Western doctor as your only point of authority for health. I think, there are definitely other healthcare practitioners who have focused in on natural health and really figured out how to remedy things through natural means. So from my personal opinion, it's very important for me to have a team of healthcare practitioners, chiropractor, acupuncturists, nutritionists, etc., that can help me fix my body whenever my body's dealing with certain symptoms, before I go into the Western route. So I definitely grew up with the Western route. I grew up, taking different kinds of pills for different things, and it helped in the short term to take away the symptom, but it was never a long-term solution. And I always ended up with certain symptoms. My body was never optimized. Instead, I actually felt a little bit more like drowsy and tired over time, which is kind of interesting. There was no focus on nutrition at all, right? But when I went into the natural route, then of course I learned so many more things, and I learned to actually figure out what my body's trying to tell me, what's non-optimal, what are the good indicators and the bad indicators, what is a more optimal scenario and what's a non-optimal scenario. The reason this is important is because we have this body in this life. We only have this one body. So we need it to work our entire lives. And what happens if we don't pay any attention to it, and we're just saying, yeah, whatever, the body just runs. It doesn't matter what you put there. It doesn't matter what you eat. It just runs. What happens is, at some point you get a diagnosis. You get some kind of a major diagnosis, like cancer, heart disease, diabetes, etc. And then people get freaked out at that point. But that is not something that you catch. It's an accumulation, or it's a progression of decisions that were made over time, but we were unaware of how those decisions negatively impacted that particular moment in time, right? So if somebody who's diabetic, that's like an accumulation of 20 years of of nutrition decisions of what we're putting into the body and how that's breaking down the body over time. The thing is that the body compensates and it breaks down over time. So sometimes it's hard to realize where it's really taking us into the future. Like being tired or having poor circulation or poor hormones in the moment, we just think, most people are dealing with that, it's not such a big problem, so we sort of justify it and we don't do too much about it until it gets to a major diagnosis. But if you only deal with something at the point of major diagnosis, then obviously it's a little bit late, because at that point, most people are really freaked out. It's a very scary situation when you're being told that your future is grim, right? And the only way that you can extend your future is by taking some kind of a drug or a pill. It's a very scary thing to look into that future and then say, you know what, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something natural about it, because at that point you really feel like your life is on the line. But the truth is that our life is on the line every moment that we make a decision about our health, right? Like everything that we do to optimize ourselves or completely ignore our health is something that's taking us into a brighter future or a shortened future. So my personal viewpoint, and one of the reasons why I want to continuously share information on natural health, resources, books, etc., is because I think that the time to do something about it is before you have a major problem. When you only are dealing with a little bit of tiredness, a little bit of hormonal problems, a little bit of crankiness, headaches, menstrual problems, a little bit of weight gain, etc., that's the time to fix it. Because if you really focus, and even if you just focus 1 year, I mean, you think it's taken us decades to get to where we are with a little bit of tiredness, overweightness, etc. So if you focus 1 year on your health, it's going to really deposit some major points into the future. And I think preventative, approaches are much better than the reactive approach, right? Which is like, oh my gosh, at the point of diagnosis, now I really have to do something about it. And what I notice is some people get sent to me, like someone says, hey, can you talk to my friend? Can you talk to my mom? Can you talk to my sister? Can you talk to whomever, right? Can you talk to them about blah? They have a major diagnosis. When I talk to them, it's like the people with the major diagnosis, they want natural health. They are almost like they want to know what are the alternatives. But in reality, deep down, they've already made a decision about the Western, drug route. The reason for that is because they feel like their lives are on the line, which I really understand. And at that point, it's hard to say, okay, I'm going to go natural when I don't know anything about it. I've never really dipped my toes into that. I don't know what it entails. And now I'm supposed to trust my entire life into this unknown future. But what I know is the hospitals and the Western doctors, and that's what I've been told my whole life, is in charge of my health. So I have to go this route because it's the only thing that I know. At that point, it's too freaky to go natural, So that's why I think the best point to do it is when you're only dealing with a little bit of things, And then if you ever get to that point of a diagnosis, you already have a whole world of healthcare practitioners who can help you get out of that. But hopefully you'll be able to completely prevent it simply by depositing some positive points through everyday decisions that you're making in nutrition and health overall. So yeah, that's all I want to mention this time around. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you on the flip side.